Welcome back, everybody, to the Rod Pedersen Show CFL Free Agency Special. Got photos being sent to us, too, however, from the Wendell Clark's watch party at Wendell's today from Irene. She says, awesome place to eat in Saskatoon, great atmosphere. And she's got her Rod Pedersen Show mug there, photos with the staff. So thank you for those that turned out for the Wendell Clark watch party here today. Talking CFL Free Agency, it is day one. It opened at 11 a.m. Central. Coming up, we will be joined by Henry Burris here, I think, in this segment. We were a little late getting to air today with some tech snafus, but we're rocking and rolling now and trying to stay on schedule as much as we can. Sports on tap, by the way, for the Tap Brewhouse and Liquor Store. 2 games in the WHL tonight. Regina Pats open a Central Division swing there at Medicine Hat. Red Deers at Victoria. 1 game last night in the SJHL. Yorkton is at Weyburn. Yorkton beat Weyburn 3-1. Tonight, Notre Dame visits Battlefords. Larange is at Melville. Nipawin is at Yorkton. 11 games in the National Hockey League tonight, including Arizona at Toronto, Rangers at Winnipeg, Ottawa Senators at Colorado. And as we mentioned, the Oilers home to Chicago. Connor McDavid out for an extended period with a quad injury. That announced by the Oilers this morning. And with as tight as it is in the Pacific, that might be bad news for the Oil, but it's not curtains. Still out there, still available. Clark has put on my screen. These are players that have not signed yet on day one of CFL free agency. D tackle Micah Johnson, wide receiver Darrell Walker, offensive tackle Derek Dennis, linebacker Larry Dean, wide receiver DeVaris Daniels. Nick Lewis, that's the makings of an all-star team right there. So
it's going to be interesting with Derek, though. He struggled with the Riders a couple years ago. So it's going to be interesting to – and everybody knows Calgary's linemen are system, right? Mm-hmm. Spencer Wilson struggled in Montreal last year when they released him already. So we'll see. It's interesting when you get linemen from Calgary. Is it their system? Is it Pat? Is it the way that they structure their offense?
That's really interesting. It's like assistant coaches leaving New England, right?
Yep.
They're the greatest thing. You're at the top of the list when it comes to coaches in vacancies, always being interviewed. But yet, really, for the most part, they all fail, right, as head coaches. So it's part of the system. It's being in your element. Yeah, that's interesting to see what the Calgary systems on the offensive line that you mentioned. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, you don't ever – Stanley Bryant is the only Calgary lineman that's left and has really done anything since he left.
Well, I'm trying to answer as many questions as we can. The gentleman wrote in earlier about Naaman Roosevelt and would the Riders re-sign him. He's apparently getting interest from other teams. The report that I got is the Riders are moving on from Naaman Roosevelt. It's unfortunate. We've talked about it throughout the program today. It's an age thing, potentially a money thing, but they've got a glut of young receivers. Nick said it. He was a guest coach at training camp when Naaman tutored along the Jordan Williams-Lamberts and the Kyran Moores, Shaq Evans. I mean, he was a big part of that, and now he's gone. Why would they bring him back now? Or as somebody wrote in earlier, who they talk about, the Ottawa receiver?
Caleb Hawley.
Yeah, with the blonde hair, Caleb Hawley. Why would you? They got enough receivers.
Yeah.
So Naaman is not part of the mix. And I know it sucks for everybody, but that is the situation for Naaman Roosevelt. He'll be playing for somebody else this year. Travis Rosebrook writes in, he says, do you think a player like S.J. Green, considering the XFL season wraps up in April, will come back to the CFL in May? I'll put that to you, Nick. In my mind, S.J. Green has done everything there is to do in the CFL. He's proven. I don't know that he would come back, but you know him. So how would you answer that?
Come back when team gets injuries, making a run. Just be a hired person that can go into a team that's playoff bound. SJ doesn't need to go through training camp, and at 34 now, I believe, 34, 35, he doesn't need to go off of one season into a training camp. It's not going to be healthy, but everybody in this league knows what SJ can do. SJ will be coming off a season where he is almost in mid-season form already. So when he comes to a team, you know what to expect. He's going to come in. He's going to be a professional. He's one of the hardest working guys at practice, and he's great for the younger guys as well. So you're going to get a positive leader in the locker room when you're ready to make a run. I don't think SJ plays a whole full CFL season to right after the XFL.
Yeah, that'd be tough. It'd be tough to go right in, but you're right. I mean, he's done all he needs to do, and if he's worried about teams not seeing value in him, he's in the XFL now to prove that he still has some value, and to show that, hey, if you need somebody, I can still produce, and he's going to be able to show that, and that's kind of good for SJ, and I'm sure teams will see value in that veteran leadership when you're looking at making a run. Somebody important goes down, because we always see injuries in the CFL, always.
I don't think SJ's done in the CFL. He's far too talented.
It'll be up to him.
It'll be up to him. But like I said, if somebody says, okay, we'll give you $100,000 to play the whole season, no, give me $100,000 to play half the season. Yes.
He'll be in control. He'll be in control.
You know what I'm saying? It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Our Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll question today might be light. My question is, who's the top remaining free agent CFL quarterback? The options are Brandon Bridge, Montel Cozart, Jonathan Jennings, or Dakota Prukop. Somebody tweeted in after the fact and said, Antonio Pipkin. Well, this morning I went through the CFL free agency list. I picked out those 4 names, and I didn't see Pipkin's name on the list. So that's my bad that he's not on there. But of those 4, the majority are voting for Jonathan Jennings at 56%, saying Jonathan Jennings is the best available CFL free agent. Ooh. Second place, Brandon Bridge. Third place, Dakota Prukop. And fourth place, Montel Cozart.
It's easy, though, because Jonathan Jennings is the first name people recognize on the list, because they're just not household names. Brandon Bridge and Jonathan Jennings, you knew would be 1, 2 on the people's list. I don't know. That's interesting. It's thin, though. It's thin, and Calgary needs a second quarterback.
I think Dinwiddie brought him into the league, so that could be interesting. But then they have a log jam at quarterback already, so that's why I don't think it's happened yet. But it's going to be interesting to see what Montel does, and to see if Dave goes out and gets someone, because Dave likes those specific type of quarterbacks, right? And he doesn't really fit what Dave really likes as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. But
Arbuckle and Bo are like clones.
Yes.
And Montel Cozart is not.
No.
Now, is there somebody else coming up in the system that is a potential triplet of that? Who's the next Bo Levi? You would know better than I do. I don't know who's on their neg list.
I could just see Huff sitting there with his twiddling his fingers like this, just expecting, just watch. They have a plan.
I've already got a guy.
Pipkin is at the top, though.
Yeah.
And then Bridge is second. And then Prokop, probably.
You were with Bridge in BC last year.
I was a Bridge in Montreal's teammates.
Yeah.
I was Bridge, in training camp with the Riders in BC last year. I think Bridge is a great talent. I think someone just has to understand that the NFL's got it now. Build the offense around the quarterback. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of people that say, this is my offense and this is how we're going to run it, instead of saying, this is what you're good at and this is how we can use you. Using Bridge's talent, and then now I think with the Canadian ratio changing with the quarterback as well, that's a huge benefit.
Got a comment. Can you put it back up from Wendell Clark's? Just on my monitor, if that's okay. They're watching in Wendell Clark's. There you go. From Wendell Clark's Classic Grill and Bar in Saskatoon. How awesome was that? We are still packed. People love the show. I love to hear that. Why, Darren, is this show so popular in Saskatoon? You lived there longer than me. I lived there for 2 years. You lived there for 10. What is it?
Partially being underserved, but they just love it. I don't know. They have an attachment to it. A big part of it is us making the effort to be in Saskatoon as much as we have.
I get that.
It's funny. Don't give it away, I guess. But when I go there, people are surprised to learn that I don't
Live
sleep
there.
in Saskatoon at night.
know.
Right? You live in Regina now? I'm like, well, I do a show every day out of Regina, but that we still have a presence in both, which is so cool. I really like that.
Are we moving to Davidson, or are we just going to move to Saskatoon?
That was suggested.
Can we get a hotel deal? Nick, are you in? You want a room? Holiday Inn?
It was suggested. I looked it
man.
up. They don't have Airbnb in Davidson.
Hotel,
yeah.
motel,
Once I got a
Holiday
liquor
Inn.
store, I'm good.
What'd you call it? The White House, Dallas Cowboys. We could have.
We
one
need
in
a White
Davidson-
House.
in Davidson, because as you say,
Do you know the story on the White House?
the only place worth
Oh, yeah.
stopping.
But
right?
you go ahead.
Go.
No, I'm good.
Come on.
My dad's been to the White House.
He has.
Doing what? Delivering pizza or partying?
He used to party with some of the Cowboys.
Hang on. We're going to talk about this in the break.
How old are you? And how long ago was he at the White House?
You're doing the math.
My dad's 19 years older than me.
So what year
he was
were you
still pretty
born?
Young, 82.
That was long before the White House, though. This was after you were born.
No, this is 90s.
No, you were born long before the White House
Yes,
was
yes,
a thing.
yes,
yeah,
yes,
So
sorry.
we're not conceived in the White House.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can put
yeah.
that to rest.
You got to read the. Paul, what are you doing? We're doing a show over here.
So it's either Michael Irvin or my dad. I know.
Oh man, a
Let's get
Pandora's
this DNA
box
test ready.
just open. Charles Haley. For those that don't know, this is a house that the Dallas Cowboys bought right beside their practice facility to party in, so they didn't have to go home to their families.
Yes, it was about 10 of them.
Something similar in the TV show Ballers too. Right?
Just
The
had-
Fun House. The
You
Fun
got to
House.
change the. You got to change sheets.
Clark was stopping all the fun, telling me the Calgary Stampeders have re-signed American quarterback Montel Coatsart.
There you go.
So we can continue with the frivolity. So word was getting around Dallas of what was going on at the White House. There might have been some illicit substance abuse, some, what's the polite way of saying prostitution? Partying, obviously. And a TV crew showed up and knocked on the door. Once word had got around Dallas what was going on at the White House. Did you read the book, Boys Will Be Boys?
No, I've never read the book.
Yeah, you didn't need to read the book. Your dad probably told you.
Lived it.
Yeah, and I know
So-
some of the Cowboys from back then.
Charles Haley answered the door. And they're like, excuse me, Mr. Haley, but we understand there's some illicit activity going on in this house. And Charles like, yeah, so? We're trying to be responsible.
MTV.
We're
Cribs.
not going to do this at our house. We bought a house to do this. We're trying to be responsible.
If Robert Kraft would have done that, he'd have been in a better situation.
You say change the sheets. I just picture the doctor's office where you roll out the new sheet of paper, rip it off, and away you go.
Yeah. Trying to be responsible. What are you talking about? All kinds of things going on here. Alan Lee says Larry Dean might stay with the Ticats. That wouldn't surprise me. Nelson Hakowicz informing us defensive lineman Cameron Walker has re-signed with the BC Lions.
Justin Tuggle had signed with Edmonton, so that was their middle linebacker last year. So Larry Dean going back does make sense.
Of the ones that I've written down here, Cleon Lang to Ottawa, Don Unamba to Ottawa, Chris Kasher to BC, Darius Bladdock to Toronto, Ronnie Peffer, the punter, to Calgary, Don Jackson to Hamilton, Juwan Breskison to the Argos, Shakir Ryan to the Edmonton Eskimos, Richard Leonard to the Calgary Stampeders. So basically, nobody's staying with the same team. It's certainly what it seems like. We're going to pause and be back with hour 3. And that includes TSN's Henry Burris. It's our free agency spectacular of the Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.